Welcome back to WTOL 11 Your Day. Do you want more? Most of us do, but many of us are afraid to ask for it, especially when it comes to our jobs and how much we're getting paid. Andres Lares of Shapiro Negotiations Institute has some thoughts on how to get the best deal when it comes to getting a raise. Good morning. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So you have some tips for us this morning. And the first one is when you're negotiating maybe a new job or your current job, I guess, you don't want to be the one to make the first offer.
Absolutely. And so it's a delicate situation because if you ask for too much, you can be seen as greedy. And so certainly if you're with your current employer and if with their new employer, you might get kind of removed from contention. But if you ask for too little, you're leaving money on the table. And so it's one of the reasons that in these particular negotiations, we suggest that you let them go first. And there's many ways to do that. You can say, you're kind of the expert in this area with other people in the same position. You've hired for this position before. Really, the company should have more experience with this particular hire. And so you can kind of do that kind of tactic and let them make the first offer.
Okay, really good advice there. As you mentioned, you don't want to turn them off by asking for too much, but also you don't want to, leave anything on the table. You never know. If you throw out an offer, they may have been willing to pay you more, right?
It's a delicate balance.
It is. So a good tip there. Another one is you don't want to reveal how much money you used to make.
Absolutely. And so this is interesting, actually, because we've been talking about this for years, and now it's becoming even more interesting because some states apparently are actually making it illegal to make this ask. So over time, this may not be as important. But for now, one of the things that is important is anchoring. We talk about a lot about anchoring and negotiation and influencing. And so if you're being asked, what are you making now? Well, what's interesting is you're looking for a new role for a reason, or you're asking for a raise for a reason. And so that question of what are you making now is one that's going to anchor the number lower. So you want to stay away from that as much as possible. And there's, again, many ways to do that. One simple one is there's a reason I'm looking, or, this role is different enough from my current role that I'm not sure that's relevant. And so those are two kind of quick ways to do that.
Okay. How we can, quickly move on to the next thing, right?
Exactly.
Don't be aggressive with your tone either is another tip you have.
And I think this is really important because certainly negotiating our compensation is really important to us. It can be emotional also because it's really personal. And so one of the things we want to remember is no matter how the situation goes, we want to keep our tone, our body language, everything positive, right? We want to think of it as we're trying to collaborate with the other party to get to a result that works for everyone rather than kind of making a demand. And in every negotiation that's important, but especially in this one because these are the same very people you're going to need to work with if it happens, right? If you land the new job, or if you get a kind of a raise and you continue in that job. So keep it as positive as you can all the way through, as hard as that may seem.
You want to be tough, but you don't want to come across as aggressive. As you mentioned, hopefully we'll be working with these people, right?
Exactly.
And then, when it comes down to the end and you're getting ready to leave this conversation, you don't want to leave it hanging.
Yeah, and so this is kind of one of the most common mistakes that people make in negotiations is they make a request and let's say it's okay, let me think about it more, let's address this in a couple of weeks or months or whatever it may be where a decision isn't made, and we just say, okay, thank you very much. And part of that is because we might have been uncomfortable in the first place making the request, and so you kind of want to avoid it. And so the easiest way to combat that is to kind of have in your mind some action steps ready no matter what happens. So, if I were to ask for a raise and they say, look, let's address this in a couple of weeks when we finish the quarter, for example, something like that. Okay, great. Why don't we put something on the calendar? How's X day or, something like that. And so you want to have that mental preparation to do that because so easily it kind of pass you by. And then you feel even worse about bringing it back up.
Right. If you at least say, okay, let's circle a date on the calendar, have something to look forward to there. And then that way they shouldn't be surprised either if you have to come back and say, oh yeah, remember today was the day that we were going to talk about this again. So great tips this morning. You also have a book. So if people need more information, they can check you out there.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're excited. It's the fifth book as a company, but my first. So we talked about personal. Certainly, very proud of it, and I hope everyone enjoys it.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.